Hello, everyone. This is Daryl Andrews, Coach D, coming with another one of my lives on LinkedIn, Facebook, and other sources. Today, I want to talk a little bit about a subject that we're all talking about today quite a bit, and for our company and organization, we have been talking about for a number of years prior to the pandemic because of the industries that we kind of work in, and that is really, self care and why people don't do it. Why do so many people not take the time to do self care? So, well, just a little conversation around that. But yes, I am repping today. Repping Syracuse University over here. I'm a native of Syracuse University and excuse me, of Syracuse, and honored to say that I was recently inducted into my high school's Hall of Fame just this past week. And so I'm kind of feeling some sense of Syracuse pride right now. I should have a Fowler High School shirt on, not a Syracuse University. But anyway, we had to grab one of those Fowler. Much love to you, Fowler High. And I'm also repping my Georgetown hat that was given to me by an amazing young man by the name of Stanford Mason, who's dating my daughter. Man, these are like rivals. And I got rival hat, Syracuse and Georgetown, and especially in basketball. So anyway, nice hat, Stan. Represent it, man. Thank you for the gift. Appreciate it. And so let's talk about this. So we live in a day and age where we have to, and one of the researchers out here called it an ethical imperative. We have to see self care as part of our daily diet, daily menu, because what is going on in our country right now is the therapists, the psychologists, and all the people who deal with wellness are overwhelmed. They can't even, most of them can't even take on any more patients, the people to work with, because the stress levels are at such a high, so high. The challenge is the byproduct of that is we're dealing with a lot of mental issues, mental health issues. And so, folks, I think in some cases, the people who are in the industry are dealing with what's called, a lot of them are dealing with what's called secondary traumatic effect because they are overwhelmed trying to help people. So we have been taking a serious emphasis, and I've got some people on the team that are experts, degreed, that know this subject well. And we have been talking about it from a mindset standpoint, because what we understand is that self-care is something that people have to embrace. Almost knocked my computer over. You have to embrace self-care and see the significance of it in my life on a day-to-day basis, you know. And so it's so of critical importance to talk about this subject because and we're going to be doing a lot more because already have quite a few contracts where we're contracted to work with we have an empowering self-care framework. There's folks all over the country we're working with, their organizations, helping them build out effective self-care via training and coaching. All right, because the reality is, a lot of organizations historically have had wellness programs. Think about it. You probably are with a company or organization that had a wellness program. But if they were to look at research it and see how many people are taking advantage of it, probably very few. Probably very few. Very few people are taking advantage of that free gym membership. Very few people are taking advantage of that the coupons to go to Salad Works. Very few people. And the reason why I'm going to give you a few is there's some internal dynamics that takes place in people's lives that if there's not an awareness and understanding of the significance of something in their lives, they discount it as irrelevant. It's not even important. And so when we do our work, the training and the coaching, what we're focusing in on is getting people to see it and overcome the barriers. Okay, overcome those barriers that prohibit them from understanding the significance of self-care in their lives. So let's talk about some of the reasons why people don't take it seriously. Number one, and I want every parent to hear me because this is so important. I'm sort of guilty myself. We parents don't even talk about it. When our children are growing up, we tell them to clean their rooms. We tell them to, brush their teeth. We tell them to do a lot of things. If they're going out the door, be safe, be home by a certain time. That's what parents do. But what parents don't say is, you know what? You got to make yourself a priority. Other words, you know what? When you're going out there into the world, you got to understand that there's people out there who don't necessarily see you the way you see yourself. And they're going to try to get you to embrace the way they think about things, or they're going to say things about you. Like in school right now, there's a lot of bullying going on, cyberbullying. And so the reality is our young people are stressed to the hilt, way more than my generation. I didn't even know depression existed in my generation. I didn't even know there were mental health issues in my generation. It was never talked about because the reality is we didn't deal with it as much back then. We didn't have the social media and the ongoing bombardment of negativity in the news and the political battles that you see and this party against that party and this person against that person, and the reality shows where girls have to feel like they're just the most, if you're not beautiful, then you're not important. And so I'm going to walk around stressed because I don't look like Kylie Jenner. And that's a false reality. Like we see, we weren't exposed to all that. So nobody wanted to be like somebody because I think people wanted to be like Mike because there was a commercial. That's about as far as it would go. But now our kids have direct access to these people and they're watching their lives every day. And these are billionaires and multimillionaires. And our kids don't live like this. So they feel insignificant sometimes because they don't live like she does or like he does. Or their friends are hitting them with, I feel like I'm preaching a little bit. Let me, their friends are hitting them with different things. And you got to do this and you got to do that. Don't listen to your mom. Don't listen to your dad. We know what's up. And haven't lived a half a minute of life, but going to tell you what's up. Have no experience, have not paid a bill, but got more knowledge than people that love you and care about you. So the upbringing, our parents, we need to take the time to help our kids understand that they're important. Literally, maybe I am preaching. Who cares? I'm a preacher anyway. I'm a preacher, so I preach. But I just wanted to know what the upbringing. Now that's not just kids, that's adults too. We do the trainings and about to do a training in about 20 minutes, 30 minutes. And we talk about, how, a lot of us just pour out all the time. It was so wired to pour out that guess what? We end up empty. Our tanks are empty. And now we're going to have to go try to fill up somebody's tank, but we don't have anything left in ours. And in a lot of industries, like I do work in workforce development, teaching, nursing, some of those folks are so spent, they have nothing left. So when I was coming up, the teachers hated the end of the year. Today, teachers can't wait to the end of the year. Stressed, burnt out, tired. You see, because not taking any time to think about self, because all we're doing is pouring out. In organizations, businesses, companies, pouring out. But again, the upbringing plays a big role. So we parents and aunts and uncles and all the other folks in life can definitely play a role in helping, people to see the significance of their lives at an early age. Now, I'm not talking about arrogance. I'm not talking about participation trophies and stuff like that. What I'm talking about is helping that young person realize at an early age that don't let other people steal your sense of identity. All right? A sense of identity. And that's important. Do not, let a person do that. All right? And so I turn my phone down. That's the big thing, is the upbringing. All right. The second one is personality styles. This is another challenge because what happens is there's certain people out here that have an empathetic personality. Empath, some people call them. And the problem with that personality style is that personality style always gives out, pours out. I kind of have some of that style myself, and I find myself in challenge because I'm constantly pouring out all the time. But I got a good sense of self-control because I understand it. I've studied it and researched it, so I know how to do self-care, and I do it all the time. But some people don't. All they spend their entire lives, every moment, sowing into folks. Energy, nonstop, with nothing coming back to them. And so Those people who have the personality styles where you're always there, always helping people. Sometimes you got to pull back and say, you know what? Not this week. I need a break. I'm going to the beach. I'm going to, I'm going to read a book. I was talking to someone the other day, one of my customers, and they was talking about how it's just so difficult because they have so wired their friendships around being that person that whenever they have a problem, they don't have anybody to go to. That's sad because they become the only person, the go-to person when it comes to the challenges of life. So personality styles. All right. Now, did you notice I haven't said one thing about exercise, one thing about smoothies, or I'm talking about the mindset. So we can have the greatest programs in the world. I mean, the greatest offerings in the world. But if the people minds aren't there for it, they're not going to even see the benefit of it anyway. All right. I feel like I'm leaving you hanging today because I'm going to talk about why people don't do. And then I'll come back and do one around people why people do. And I'll explain that. And then the last one is just plain mental health. Trauma is a huge problem in our country right now. People are dealing with a lot of trauma. You know what I mean? And we know we got different things out here like trauma-informed care, which I think is a great thing for people who work with people to understand that people are dealing with trauma. A lot of trauma out here right now in our country. And so it's important to really, really get a grip on the fact that mental health is real. It's a problem. We see it with all these young folks committing, and not just young folks, but even adults committing suicide, all these entertainers, kids committing suicide. I mean, come on, you have everything in your hands. Robin Williams, the greatest entertainer of all time, hangs himself. Crazy. Like, what is, you see, we think this is not a game. Who would do something like that to themselves? And I don't want to seem too deep, but the reality is that's what we're dealing with today. You see? Yes, it is, Paul. It is a global problem. It is. I love this young man right here is one of my mentees over in Nairobi, Kenya. Trauma is not only in your country, but a global problem. There you go, Paul. Popped you up, man, because you're right. It's huge. And I realize that people are just being overwhelmed. Overwhelmed. This is a young man. You need to get to know him, connect with him. Boy, I tell you, he's doing some great work over in Kenya. He knows what he's talking about. He does a lot with youth, and he's transforming those youth in Nairobi. And he sees this all the time in this country. A lot of high poverty rates and a lot of different things. Very similar to what we see here in the United States. You know, but obviously we have certain privileges here in the States and because we're the United States. But mental health is huge and we can't ignore it. So, you know, I'm going to get ready to wrap this up. But I want you to understand that there's reasons why people don't do self-care. I mentioned 3 of them. Upbringing. Nobody ever tell anybody about it. Personality styles. I'm an empathetic person. All I do is just give out all the time. Never give to myself. Always helping people. All right. And then mental health. And I always tell people therapy is not a bad word. Matter of fact, therapy can help people, man. It's like nothing wrong with a therapist. You know, it's funny. But certain cultures, and I know I'll just come out clean and say in the black race, it's almost like taboo. But you hear celebrities all day long, my therapist, my therapist, my therapist. I mean, everybody, my therapist, because they know they need it. Because we've had a lifetime of issues that have gone on that we don't know how to cope, you know? And so therapy is needed. So with so many people today dealing with stress, with so many people dealing with trauma, with so many, we got to understand this is mental, this is psychological, this is deeper than just go to bed at night, get some rest, you know, connect more with people, all that kind of stuff. You can tell people that all day long. I see some of these wellness trainings. I almost want to, you know, say, what in the world are these people talking about? Just go to yoga class. Just go to yoga class. My foot, this person doesn't even, is still dealing with issues. Going to yoga class is not on their mind. They have to understand why they should go to yoga class. They should know why they need to consider their diet. They need to understand why. And if you don't help people understand why, then all those freebies that you give at the company and all those perks will just go to waste. You see, so I want you to understand that we're dealing with an epidemic in our country right now. And me and my team, we're kicking it. We got a bunch of contracts already. We're working with a lot of people. We're serious about this. You know, as a believer in God and Christ, I sometimes feel like this ministry to me. just trying to help transform people's lives through this mess. The pandemic has just destroyed things. People are coming out of this pandemic with more trauma than I've ever seen in my many, many years of living. And so I want you to understand that this is a problem. And there's a lot of people that will never get there, never overcome. So I want you to be aware of this. If you see people on your job that seem overly stressed, or if your kids seem off, talk to them. Talk. Don't ignore it. You know, if your spouse or family member off, talk to them. Because a lot of people don't know that they need help, or they don't know that they can make certain changes in their personality that will minimize, all of the challenges of not doing self-care. So that's all I got for you today. That's just, we want to talk about why. So I'm going to be on a series dealing with self-care for a while, because that's like we're doing so much work there right now that I just want to talk about it a little bit more, because it's needed. And my hope in doing this is we're going to create a movement towards it, because I'm tired of seeing people go through all this stuff when they don't have to. You look at Coach, you see me putting up videos. I'm at the beach. I love the beach. I love the beach, and I will be at there frequently because that's my happy place. Being with my family, happy place. Love being with my wife and kids, happy place. I love going out to have a nice, my wife and I like to hang out. We get all dressed up, have our little fits on, happy place. I was with my family in Syracuse this past week at the Hall of Fame event, Wall of Distinction in my hometown, happy place. Seeing friends I haven't seen in years from high school, happy place. Walking along some of the little riverfront areas here in Delaware and some of them down in Florida, happy place. Reading a book, creating something new and fun and innovative, happy place. You need a happy place. You need something that you enjoy. And you need to tell people, I'm going to say this as I get ready to go, one of your favorite words has to become no. But I'm going to type that one in the chat feature. All right. Just up there, I had to say no. N-O, no. There it is. Because we say yes to too many things. Then we find ourselves overwhelmed because of all the things we say yes to. You see, it's like I said, just say no. No. Because I got to say no to certain things so I can say yes to my own wellness. And if you're in a really bad space, say no to everything until you get yourself together. Unless it's something that's going to bring you joy. Spending time with your grandchildren, spending time with your kids. But if people want you to volunteer, like I've seen people guilted into volunteer for things. If there's any pastors out there, stop guilting people. Yeah, I'm talking to pastors. Stop guilting people into volunteerism when you know they need to spend time with their kids and with their spouse and things like that. Okay, I'm going to get in trouble right now where I'm a pastor, friends. I'm not just saying them, but other people too. People need to take some time to take care of themselves. And we're dealing with too much right now. So there's nothing wrong with volunteering. I volunteered many times over the years. You see, yes, many times. But I tell you, in the last 10, I've been saying no to everybody. I only got a few organizations I'm a part of, boards I'm a part of, and the rest of them I said nope. Because why? You see, it's like Paul says here, I'm going to hook him up one more time. No is a powerful word. Thank you, Paul. Y'all need to connect with this young man right here, because he's a powerhouse over there in Kenya, doing some great work. So anyway, got to go. Got a training coming up. Been doing most of my stuff virtual so I can be home with my family. I love it. A lot of my speaker friends are back out there live and they're loving it. And I love it too. I got a bunch of them coming up, but I like doing virtual because we do virtual training, virtual coaching, all of that, because, website, as you know, is put that in there, mcspeaks.com, because I'm a family man. I like being home with my family, not on airplanes all the time. That's how my life used to be. I don't like doing all that now. I like to be with my wife and my kids. So anyway, that's all I got for you today. And that's part of my self-care too. Living off, not being on airplanes 5 times a week. So that's all I got. Upbringing, personality styles, and mental health. Think about that as it relates to people not doing self-care. And if you can help people, help them. Have a great day. Take care.